All right, number five, developing a request for proposals. This is probably a more mature organization that's going to do this is you can develop a request for proposals to attract qualified candidates that ensures the alignment with all of the things that you need. And some key components are you want to include your organizational background and mission, your funding goals and priorities. How much funding are you trying to uh, get with grants, just with the grant portion of your revenue? What is the priority there? The more succinct your goals are, the easier it is for a grant professional to come in and really hit the ground running and help you. What's the scope of work? What are the things that you need for a grant professional to do for you? Do you need the prospecting where you're looking for grant opportunities? Do you need somebody to execute your grant calendar? Uh, do you need somebody to submit grants but not do any of the reporting? You don't need grant management because you can do that in-house. Just really understand what you need, and that goes all the way back to slide one. So understand what you need before engaging a grant professional really helps everybody involved. You want to know what your timeline is for your projects. Your grant funding takes a long time. It's a long game process. It can be, local foundations can get back with you within a month, but once you start writing other grants, it can be 6 to 12 months before uh, people get back to you. So you want to make sure you're looking at things long term when you're looking for grant funding. Um, what your budget range is, that's a really good under thing to understand. A lot of times, grant professionals can give you based on your budget, like this is what we could do based on that budget. I give people a range of budgets, like because sometimes people really come and they really just don't know anything about the grant writing, or so it's just a lot of education, and I don't mind taking that time. Sometimes that's a few meetings just to really educate people so that they're not going into something with without good expectations. And so it's really important to let have them understand, the kind of time it takes. I can kind of give them a rough estimate of time it takes to do a proposal and how much that might cost. And, for X amount, if they have a small budget, then, this is what that looks like. We could probably do about this much just based on what other clients are doing, or, things like that. So if you know what your budget range is, it's a good thing to include because it will really help a professional understand because if your scope of work is huge, but your budget's really small, they can easily tell you that's not, we're not going to be able to accomplish that scope of work on this budget because I'm going to just tell you right now, this is going to take a lot longer to do. So they'll know that. Required qualifications and experience. You know, to understand what you need from our grant professional, you probably want to just do a little bit of research. And we talked about the GPA, and they have great ways to search for individuals on their website. And one of the top like national qualifications for grant professionals in I don't know if it's the world or just like the North America, but is the GPC. It's the Grant Professional Credited. It's a weird word. It's not credentialed. maybe it is credentialed. Anyway, GPC. I do have a GPC, believe it or not. Probably need to make sure I understand what that last word is. But the GPC denotes that you've spent a while in the field. You have passed a rigorous examination of kind of the whole scope of grants. It's a two-part test. It's over every subject area of the GPA sets forth competencies, and it's over all of the competencies. And then, of course, there's a writing portion, timed writing portion of that exam. So, a GPC is kind of the highest qualification that you can have right now as a grant professional. So that's something to look for. Of course, experience in the field and maybe even the sector that you're working in is helpful to look at if you're in mental health and the person has a lot of mental health experience. They're already going to know what grants are out there for that. So sometimes matching the sectors is a good thing. I do a lot in many different sectors, so I kind of have a lot of different knowledge base is there for grant opportunities, but probably not an expert in any one of them. So that's something to think about. Um, and then submission instructions and how they're gonna get that back to you, you know. Um, all right. So developing a request for proposals. At the very least, I would understand these things before you sit down and talk with, whether you put it down on paper or not, I would have this in the back of your mind when you're talking with a grant professional.
So, Sheena, are the qualified candidates the grant writers or the funders? Does that,
The qualified candidates are the grant professionals.
okay, okay. So this is
Yeah.
basically
So
a checklist to make sure you hire the correct grant writing professional for your needs.
this is what you would put out there to like attract, like we were looking for a grant professional. These are the things we want to have happen. You would want to know these things when before or if or you would want uh the grant professional. There's two ways to do this. You can reach out to the grant professional and have this in your head and sit down and talk with them about all these things. Or a lot of times what people are doing is they put it out as a kind of like a job opportunity, but they
Okay,
list all
gotcha.
of these things out, and then grant professionals can go into these databases and look at your RFP and think, oh yeah, I can do that, and yeah, the timeline's good. I've got space in my you know schedule this year for that kind of work. I'll submit a proposal. um or also I will contact these uh, organizations to see if my proposal is interesting to
Okay,
them.
okay,
You
yeah,
would
that
probably
makes
develop a,
sense. Yep, thanks. That
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. Saying things like, like if I saw your, um, if I'm looking at your request for proposals and think, yeah, I can do that. I would send something back, however they want that sent back this with the submission instructions. I would send something back, going through, this is what I think I can do for you based on the information that you provided, and this is like how much I think it might cost and things like that. So,
Oh, okay, sounds good. Thanks.